Hi friends, welcome back. So is it time to sell Tesla stock? Well, according to Morgan Stanley, yes, it is. This is the headline. Morgan Stanley is cutting its position in Tesla stock. Here's why. This is coming out on August 23rd, 2024. And this is a major story because Morgan Stanley is one of the king pumpers of Tesla stock. If you don't know, Elon Musk owes them a whole bunch of money. We're talking about billions of dollars. And Morgan Stanley has actually been using Adam Jonas, one of their analysts, to just pump that price, pump that stock. But it looks like right here they're cutting it. And it's actually interesting because just 3 weeks ago, Tesla stock jumps on replacing Ford as Morgan Stanley's, quote, top pick in the U.S. auto sector. That was on July 30th, 2024. I laugh when I see this stuff because, guys, I mean, this is obvious corruption. It is what it is. I try to point this stuff out to you. But, you know, I understand if you're a fanboy and fangirl, you just forget about all the news unless you like it. If you like the news, you talk about it. If you don't like news, you don't talk about it. So what the heck's up with Morgan Stanley, though, right? Why are they cutting? So it says here, this is from their note. It says, while we continue to hold a position in Tesla, due to the optionality of its various non-auto assets. Okay, so cars, not so great. Maybe your non-auto stuff is okay. We see an attractive opportunity to reallocate, right? Move money, reallocate some of the position to other less volatile stocks. Stop moving up and down, Tesla, that are not as economically sensitive and may have less pricing pressure. So that's according to Morgan Stanley. They also say continued slowdown in the auto industry, intense competition among electric vehicles, and reduced consumer preferences, meaning that people just don't want to buy EVs and you got a lot more competition. Now, they're not the only ones dumping Tesla stock. Ross Gerber over at his company, I think it's like called Gerber Kawasaki, he's like, yo, time to dump. That's what's right here. Why this Tesla investor and former Musk backer is dumping his stock. And Ross even says, you know, he likes Mr. Musk. He likes driving his Tesla car. Just he doesn't want to hold the stock. And you can watch that if you like. That came out on August 23rd, 2024, the same time that Morgan Stanley was dumping. The thing that's really interesting regarding this stuff is, you know, I understand the fangirls and fangirls, you know, just ignore these kind of numbers. And if you watch YouTube, et cetera, they never talk about it. I bring it up because I think it matters. Your profits are down 45%. I mean, how can you ignore that? It is major money that you're down. Moreover, we had some crazy leaks recently. What this was, I covered it before on the channel, but I'm just going to mention it again. You can find my videos on this. Essentially, we know that Musk has owed money on the Twitter deal for a long time. He's got to pay massive amounts of interest payments on this thing. And what we learned actually was that the bankers are losing money over this and losing their compensation. And like they had like this crazy dinner and like they had to announce that we're losing money. And essentially this is one of the big deals of the year. And they had to like halt some of their other deals and stuff like that. They're talking about $13 billion here, right? And moreover, Musk had made some sort of deal because it was 44 to buy Twitter. It was another 30 million, and this involved like Saudi money and Qatar money. And true story, even Sean Combs, I think that's the Diddy dude, right? So what? And that guy's in trouble with all kinds of stuff. I don't want to give all that, but I mean, you know, when you're messing with Saudi money, Qatar money, and also too, you're messing with Wall Street money, and you're losing money over at Twitter, and all these people trusted you to like, you know, deliver the goods. It's not happening, and then now like your profits are down big at Tesla. And your money is like essentially tied to Tesla stock. And people are like, man, we got to get this money back. What's going on? And they're just kind of giving up. They're dumping his stuff. Moreover, you guys know this. Musk has been getting so involved in politics. It's making a lot of people uncomfortable, right? And I understand it. And if you love Musk and you love Trump, go for it. No problem, guys. But just understand it does have ramifications on your investments, especially when you are saying, hey, you know, maybe I'm going to like leave Tesla and I'm going to just go do something else. I'm going to be the DOGE, right? The Department of Government Energy. And, you know, and that's been something that I've been saying all along, like, you know, if you don't want to be the CEO of Tesla, you don't have to be. Go do something else and go spend your time with what you enjoy. And this is the kind of stuff that he's been doing lately. The thing that's crazy, though, is that it does cost you, right? You say crazy things. You say, hey, there's a civil war coming in the UK. People start dropping you. So this is another headline. Just came out Friday. This is all same day. August 23rd, August 23rd, 2024. Royal Society facing calls to expel Elon Musk amid concerns about conduct. It was like, kick this down. It's like an Academy of Science over there. And it's as bad as you think it is, guys. Moreover, there's always more crazy stuff going on. You got the valuation scores for this thing is still terrible. Basically, it's just overvalued. It's been like that for a while, right? They're losing market share in Europe BMW overtakes rival Tesla to take the top spot in European EV sales. Guys, when Tesla was the only car on the market, right? It was the only game in town. Everything was roses, right? Everything was roses. But I've said this all along. There are other companies in the world. People don't just have to buy a Tesla. You got a lot of choices, and you're going against like strong brands out there. It's a very, very competitive market. BMW is not just going to disappear. And in fact, now they're selling more EVs than you in Europe. You're also facing losing market share in China. It's a real thing. BYD is a legit company. They're killing you over there. Plus, there's a lot of other companies that sell EVs, and you're losing market share there, and you're losing market share in the USA. Market share for Tesla in the USA dropped below 50% for the first time. And I promise you guys, if you've been following my channel, we went to an auto show recently. We talked about the BMWs, we talked about the Kias, the Hyundais, the Genesis. We looked at these cars. You can watch them on the video. And we even took a Kia EV3, which is not available in the USA yet, but we took it out for a spin recently. And I'll tell you guys, it's a nice car. The Kia EV3 is a nice car, and it's going to come in cheaper than the Tesla. That is going to be a Tesla killer, I promise you. The Tesla's not looking so good, and you get all these like crazy headlines all the time of like, what the heck is Elon doing now? Who's quitting? This was like, I think it was the VP of Finance and Business quit. She quit after 11 years, but that's a lot of people are quitting on Elon. And then Elon's a kind of manager. This also just came out like, and it's also funny to like cover this stuff because there's always some like ludicrously crazy news with Elon. So what is this one? Elon Musk says X staff can get their stock, right? Talking about over at X, you can get your stock if they prove they deserve it. What? And so what they have to do, they have to write like a one-page letter to Mr. Musk, saying, why they deserve to get their stock and why they've been working hard for Mr. Musk. And it's like, it's so ludicrous. I mean, and from my point of view, guys, if I sign a contract to work at a company and like they promise me, a certain amount of options or whatever, a certain amount of stock, like, keep your promise, dude. Like that was in the contract, but now it's like, well, Elon's like, well, I know we had a promise to you, but you really need to prove to me that you've been working hard. And it's interesting because Musk has been sued over this stuff. There was a guy recently, it's hard to keep track of all the lawsuits. I mean, there's really a lot, but there was a guy recently, and it was like more of a senior executive kind of person that left Google. And he basically, not going to get paid much at all and just get paid in stock. And then Elon's not give it to him. And it's like, that's why he's suing. And so I think all these things add up over time. And plus, getting to Musk's personal life, which isn't the focus of this video, but it does matter. He's over in custody fights and stuff like that. And if you guys have ever been in like any kind of family, battles, you'll know it takes a toll, right? So you got employees that want their money. You got there's more. You got the Saudis and the people over in Qatar want their money, right? That's this right here. It is crazy world, and people like money, guys, and people don't like it when you lose their money, and people don't like it when you don't give them money. There's another thing as well. I don't have it pulled up here, but recently too, they're not paying the rent at San Francisco, and so they're getting sued for that. That was just a couple more days ago. It is always something, and you got even more craziness. If you didn't think there's more, but there is. This is a piece that just came out. There's a new book about Twitter. I guess the authors interviewed like 100 people. They got some really crazy inside stories. We're going to go over this stuff. This says here, how Elon Musk got tangled up in blue. I'll give you the overview over it, and then we'll go over the details because it's absolutely crazy. The basic gist of it is when Musk took over Twitter, he doesn't know what he's doing. that's pretty frank. And the funny thing is the fanboys and fangirls just say, oh, Musk is a genius. He can do anything. But it's like, running a social media company is not the same as, say, running a Tesla car company. It's not the same, right? And also too, like if your skills are, just say, for example, let's pretend Musk is a genius at cars and knows more about manufacturing than everyone on the planet, according to Musk, right? Let's say he does, right? But does that like car manufacturing something translate to like understanding a social media company? Like, for example, let's say I'm the master and I'm the CEO of McDonald's. I know food, but does that suddenly mean that I can manage satellites? Like they're just different things. And so what they wanted to do is they wanted to come in and figure out a way to raise revenue. And then they had this whole discussion of the blue checkmark stuff, who's verified and who's not verified. And the basic gist is that if in the past, verified would be like an official account of like a company or a celebrity or something like that. But if suddenly anyone could buy verified, then it kind of ticks off the people who were verified used to be like an important thing. And if someone can buy verified, can they then scam people much easier because you can pretend that you're someone else. So let me go through the details of this stuff. It is really interesting because we have a lot of private conversations that they go over, and basically Musk is nuts. So, and I understand the fanboys and fangirls ignore this kind of stuff. I get it. But for those of us who live in reality, it's fun to read this stuff. And also, too, for those who are old enough to have jobs and also have to deal with sometimes your employer, your boss isn't so great, you'll understand this stuff, right? If you're a kid, you've never had a job in your life, you have no idea what we're talking about. But for those of us who have been professionals, you guys know. So let's read some of these quotes here. It says here, all these other people around the world rely on label of some kind. Again, we're talking about the blue checkmark stuff. A badge of some kind to tell them this is a real account to listen to, right? So this is the director of product management. That's a quote. And they will be hijacked. So they're warning like what happens if we start giving blue check marks to everyone, right? Someone could die, actually, right? That's what they're talking about here. Musk says they're having this conversation, and the lawyer's like, we got to tell Mr. Musk. It says when Mr. Musk re-entered the room, the chatter died. Everyone just quits talking. No one had expected him to be with them for so long on launch day, but he picked through the snacks, and at one point, half a donut in a single bite. So he's just like eating donuts and snacks. He encouraged employees who raised concerns to be adventurous. And there was one description where like he was making like kind of gun gestures with his hands. It's Musk. It's kind of funny when you read this stuff. It sounds as crazy as you kind of would imagine him to be. But it is what it is. Okay, here's more. Many of the employees on the blue team came to view the project as pointless at best and at worst, something that could undermine trust. If if everyone could be verified, then no one would be truly verified, right? Do you guys understand this? The point of it, if you start giving blue check marks to everyone, then it doesn't really have the meaning anymore, and that's going to piss off your older and older meaning like your veteran users of Twitter or your people who are celebrities or companies, etc. Here's another one. As one blue worker later wrote in a journal, quote, "It was an obvious train wreck. That was the main job of everyone on the team, was to make sure it was the safest train wreck possible." This is the stuff that people are writing about Mr. Musk and people over at Twitter and during this time. It's just funny. Here's more. Again, this is from 100 interviews that they did. There's a lot of people who can't even buy gas right now. So they're talking about, whether or not and how much to charge on Twitter. There was talk that they want to be charged $9 a month. Did we charge $20 a month? Did we charge $100 a year? Musk was asking all kinds of people, and he even asked the author of the book that came out recently, and people thought it was a bit strange that he was asking people that didn't know much about social media. But that's how Musk rolls. He asks his friends, even if they're experts or not. Anyway, so and they're trying to say like, people can't afford it probably. But there's a lot of people who can't even buy gas right now. She said, according to two people in attendance, it was hard to see how any of these people would pony up $100 on the spot for a social media status symbol, right? And that's always the question I pose to you, like, are you going to pay money for Facebook or Instagram or, Twitter, etc.? Mr. Musk paused to think, quote, like, what do people pay for Starbucks? He asked, like $8, right? So this is Musk talking in the meeting. Before anyone could raise objections, he whipped out his phone to set his word in stone. So then he tweets it out. Quote, Twitter's current lords and peasants system for who has or doesn't have a blue checkmark is BS. He tweeted on November 1st, power to the people, blue for $8 a month. That's how he decides things. People were having a discussion and he just asked a question, how much is a Starbucks cup? $8. Okay, that's what it's going to be. But that's what, to be fair, that's what the CEO does, but it's going against what people are advising. It is what it is. And then the other discussion was like sometimes Mr. Musk maybe doesn't understand like how much money people actually have or that people are struggling. He just doesn't think like that. And then that was described in the article /book. Here's more. Still, the absurdity of being asked to launch a product built to Mr. Musk's specifications in less than 2 weeks amid widespread layoffs was not lost on her. And that's one of the staff. In one meeting, she presented her team with customized mugs that wouldn't have been out of the place at a tech-themed Bed Bath & Beyond. And this is what the mug said for the person on the team. Quote, chance made us coworkers. Crazy psycho, we'll call it probably stuff, made us tweeps. I thought it was kind of funny. They call themselves tweeps. And that was the cup that they gave the team to inspire them. I guess we were sleeping on the floor. They took a picture, posted on Twitter, and it was kind of a joke. And they had some argument whether or not to keep it up because like, does it make working at Twitter seem like a good thing or a bad thing? You know, that's your hardcore mode, sleeping in the office. And it's funny. The fanboys and fangirls always admire this kind of stuff, but for me personally, as in, I've been alive long enough. I'm 49. I always mention my age. Just like, age and experience matters. I don't want to kill myself for a company. That's just me. And you guys can make your decision if you want to kill yourself for a company or if you want to go home to your family. I'll let you decide. I understand maybe people in their 20s have a different kind of feeling, but you get older and I don't really want to sleep in the office. Here's more. Quote, I can tell you're going to be around for a while, so let me tell you something. Miss Balajadia said to Miss Crawford. I think that's the product person, Miss Crawford. Elon is special in this world. It is our job to protect him and make sure what he wants to have happens. We need to protect the mission. Okay, some people are on board. That's what that's illustrating. Ms. Crawford came up with her own tactics for dealing with Mr. Musk, and this is interesting stuff. She quickly learned that she could challenge him in one-on-one settings, so when they're alone, she can challenge his authority. Individually, Mr. Musk could be charming, willing to engage in discussion, and listen to the expertise of his counterpart. Put him in a larger group setting with people outside his inner circle, or those he didn't trust, however, and Mr. Musk's ego ran wild. He could never be seen as inferior or uninformed, right? So that's actually really quite interesting. So one-on-one, he'll actually have a discussion with you, but in a group, though, he's got to be seen like as the authority. He knows everything and that kind of stuff. And this is something that's always been reported about Mr. Musk. He'll just fire people in front of everyone when he just gets angry. That's the kind of his behavior. And I understand for some people who love Mr. Musk, they think that's a positive trait, but well, I'll let you decide. There's more details. And guys, all this stuff is so fascinating to read these things because it's kind of stuff you suspect, but when you get the actual details, it all fits in. Here's more. Quote, I don't want to push the team to die over this. Ms. Crawford told Mr. Musk at one point, trying to warn about burnout, right? So doesn't want to kill the employees. And this is Musk's response, laughing. Well, ha 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 ha, right? Push them to just before they die, right? That was Mr. Musk responded, and he was laughing. So essentially work people, don't quite kill them, just work them really, really hard. Moreover, it says here, as the new blue came into focus, so did the fears about how it would be exploited for impersonation, right? What would happen if an account pretending to be a local fire department declared an emergency, or an account posing as a politician spread a lie about an upcoming vote? So the employees were talking about this kind of stuff. They're worried about fake news, worried about imposters, and they actually had a lot of discussions about these things. It was really interesting, and they would ask Musk about, do you care about safety or not? There's a lot of discussion about that. I'll read some views of this stuff. Here's a quote. Why are we making such a risky change one day before elections? How about changing their system, the blue checkmark stuff, which has potential of causing election interference by malicious groups that could abuse the new rules to their advantage and spread of misinformation? That's someone asking on Slack channel. The weekend before U.S. voters headed to the polls, Ms. Crawford made one last attempt in a private chat with her boss. Quote, do you want to be blamed for the outcome of this election? Musk replied, well, when is it? Crawford responded, it's in 2 days. And stunned that he hadn't clocked the date that she and her team had been warning him about since the start of the project, and warning him a long time. Mr. Musk paused, processing. I didn't realize. He said for a moment, okay, yeah, it's fine. We can wait. Why don't we wait? The other thing that's interesting too is does Mr. Musk, does Elon, does he understand really the dangers of misinformation, right? I think a lot of times when you see the stuff he puts on Twitter, he thinks it's all a joke. But who knows? Maybe he really does know it's dangerous and just doesn't care. And that's up to debate. I don't know exactly what's going on in his head. I can just see the outward stuff. And so can other people. They're selling the stock. They're kicking him out of academies, etc. Let's read some more here. We should consider what is magnitude of the thing that happened before we take action. I want to pay close attention and react with agility, but not react with fear of a thing that may or may not occur. Okay. A software engineer calling in a meeting posed a question to Mr. Musk. There's a quote here. What would you consider a serious incident that would require us to put back such a label or other differentiation between accounts? So talking about, should we take away blue check marks, give blue check marks? Like what would be a serious thing that we consider? Mr. Musk intertwined his fingers and paused for a few seconds. And this is a quote. If it's like if there's like death or serious injury or something like he's fidgeting, something beyond annoyance or mild confusion, that would be enough. And the crazy stuff is like was happening in the UK and the fighting, I think even Mr. Musk is even more hardline than what they describe here. So, because this is from descriptions from a couple years ago, I believe. And then we're talking about advertisers leaving, and that Mr. Musk, or Elon, you could say, actually does care about money. And I've said this so many times on the channel. Don't believe it when he says he doesn't care about money. He cares. I mean, it's ludicrous to say a billionaire doesn't care about money. If they didn't care about money, they would just gave it all away. That's not what he does. So, and you can't trust a lot of stuff that Elon says. But listen to this. This is about advertisers. On November 10th, major advertisers started to ring Twitter's sales team, right? They start calling, because I think the blue checkmark stuff went to effect in November 9th. This is like the day later. And so they're kind of nervous about this whole changes of blue checkmark. They start calling Twitter. Telling they would pull their ads unless the company did something about the fakes, right? There's a lot of fake stuff going on. In one call, executives from Nike threatened to never advertise on the platform again. Two people with the knowledge of the conversation said, those who saw Mr. Musk as after these calls could sense his tension. He was clearly bothered by the threats from business leaders. By the afternoon, his jovial mood after launching Blue the previous day had disappeared. And over the coming weeks, Mr. Musk's mood swings. One moment despondent, the next energized would become routine. So he's really unstable, and it seems this Twitter thing is really causing it. And plus, remember losing profits over at Tesla. The threats stirred Mr. Musk's fear of losing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue in a snap. Turn it off, he told engineers in San Francisco. Turn it off. One of the things that I think is fascinating about this stuff is just like how entangled this stuff is, and how it's kind of all crashing at the same time. I think you have this intersection of Musk getting involved with politics, which indicates he's not interested in Tesla anymore. And also, too, you're supporting a candidate that's not really interested in supporting, EVs or green energy. It's like, okay, how does that make any sense? Your profits are going down. You're losing market share in Europe, China, and USA. You got new court filings out that, you got Qatar money and Saudi money. We already knew these things, but just this more details is more crazy. And then you got Morgan Stanley dumping, et cetera. It just, the list of bad news goes on and on and on and on and on. And what's sad about this stuff, and why I do this guy's stuff with you guys, is like, I just want you to live in reality and protect your downside. And I hate seeing all the liars on social media, and there's no other way to put it. The stock promoters are lying to you all the time, and I see it routinely. Some of the stock promoters, to be fair though, have quit promoting. They're just like, oh, I'm going to take a break. I just get so stressed out. And I mean, I still don't like these people, but it shows they have some sort of consciousness, because they see that the Titanic is sinking and they're trying to jump off. So, I mean, you could make it that as you will, because I guess you could call these people cowards, because they could actually come out and tell the truth. So either way, I don't like these people, and I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts on any one of these things. I know this is a train wreck. For us on the outside, it's really fascinating to watch this thing. This is going to probably end up being the biggest fraud, biggest meltdown in history. So want to hear your thoughts on this stuff, and I'll catch you on the next video.